This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. The U.S. President Joe Biden on Friday slammed ExxonMobil, his country's leading oil producer, for being reluctant to drill more oil fields so that it can benefit from skyrocketing prices for oil and gas as supply shrinks. Biden outrightly stated that the posture of the company was reflective of sheer greed, as it sits back and watches inflation rise in country, much to the benefit of its shareholders' pockets. He went on to say that Exxon made more money than God this year. According to the CNBC report, inflation in May rose at levels not seen since the early 1980s. Expounding on the inflationary pressures facing his people, Biden blamed Russian President Vladimir Putin and his invasion of Ukraine, which led to shortages in the market and record-high gasoline prices. He also pinned part of the blame for high fuel costs on Exxon and other oil producers for what he called a failure to increase supply to help reduce prices. Meanwhile, Guyana's third Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative report has made yet another call for the government to release all mining contracts, especially those dealing with large-scale operations. Since becoming a member of the global body, the report notes that the government agreed to adhere to several requirements. In this case, EITI Requirement 2.4a of the 2019 standard states that Guyana should publicly disclose all mineral agreements entered into force prior to the reporting period, in this case 2019. Importantly, the report highlights that the country's Mining Act of 1989 does not include any expressed restrictions on the public disclosure of mineral agreements and licenses by the government. It goes further to state that even the mineral agreement signed on November 18, 2011 for Aurora Gold Mine, developed by Guyana Goldfields, is silent about restrictions on public disclosure of mineral agreement. Be that as it may, that very agreement, along with many others, is not available online for citizens to understand what concessions are granted to these firms versus what the country would get in return. Meanwhile, with a meager $5 increase added as a penalty for the flaring of gas associated with the oil production at the Liza 1 oil field in the Stabroek Block, leader of the opposition Aubrey Norton has concluded that the PPP is encouraging the destruction of the environment. Norton gave this view on the matter during a press conference hosted on Tuesday. The opposition leader explained that while the laws of Guyana are strong enough to protect the environment, the government has not been enforcing the constitution to deter the oil and gas operator ExxonMobil from flaring. The government renewed the permit on the Liza 1 operations on May 31st last, ignoring the calls from industry experts to secure a better deal from the oil company first. In approving the company's activities, the Environmental Protection Agency only effected a few changes to flaring, financial assurance, monitoring, and grievance mechanism. And moving on, Esso has pegged its fourth development in the Stabroek Block, namely Yellowtail, as providing the best returns in the industry currently. This was divulged recently by ExxonMobil Guyana partner John Hess. According to Hess, with the Liza 1 and 2 operations already underway, the coming on stream of the third development, Payara, along with the Yellowtail project, will see revenues for Hess increasing by $1 billion per each ship for its 30% interest in the Stabroek Block. To this end, Hess noted that with each new production vessel, it would mean secured revenues, telling stakeholders, so it's not just rate of change for this year, it's rate of change in the years ahead, and that's why it's durable cash flow story that is unequaled anywhere in the business. And just before we head to a short break, let's tell you that 3 agencies attached to the Ministry of Agriculture signed 12 contracts on Friday, totaling some $491.5 million for the procurement and supply of critical machinery that would advance developmental works in the agriculture sector. The simple ceremony, which took place at the ministry's boardroom, saw Guy Suko signing 9 contracts totaling $457 million. The Guyana Marketing Corporation signing 2 contracts totaling $18.8 million, and the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority signing 1 totaling $14.7 million. The time is now 12 hours 5 in Guyana. We'll return shortly after the break.
experience more than award-winning speed. Way more. Get the best that LTE has to offer on Digicel, officially the fastest mobile network in Guyana. Ookla, the company behind Speedtest, recognizes Digicel as the best mobile network in Guyana. With the best LTE experience and the fastest data speeds, experience it all with Digicel. Better together.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. 25-year-old Quentin Bacchus, a resident of Golden Grove, East Coast Demerara, was on Friday afternoon shot dead at Haslington by police. Bacchus was reportedly shot multiple times to his body around 14 hours 30 by a plainclothes rank during a sting operation. Ranks had received information earlier that day from an acquaintance of Bacchus, a construction worker, that he had a gun to sell. Investigators reported that arrangements were made for an armed undercover cop to purchase the firearm from him. The undercover cop showed up later to do business with Bacchus in the Haslington housing scheme. After meeting the cop and reportedly gaining confidence, he went to a location to collect the gun and returned to hand it over. While doing so, according to police, someone blew the undercover cop's cover, and Bacchus retaliated by using the gun to shoot at the rank. The cop took over to cover and drew his weapon and reportedly shot back at Bacchus as he ran away. Bacchus jumped a fence into a yard and the rank followed. Police alleged that Bacchus did not surrender but shot at the rank again. The rank reportedly took cover and returned fire. This time, Bacchus was struck and fell to the ground. As the supply lines to fossil fuel remains shaky, the U.S. government has instituted new measures to ensure a stable, clean and cheap generation of electricity for its people. On June 6th last, President Joe Biden issued a presidential determinations providing the U.S. Department of Energy with the authority to utilize the Defense Production Act to accelerate domestic production of 5 key energy technologies. These include solar, transformers and electric grid components, heat pumps, insulation and electrolyzers, fuel cells, and platinum group metals. It was noted that the determinations are part of the President and Vice President Kamala Harris's plan to lower energy costs for families, strengthen national security, and achieve lasting American energy independence that reduces demand for fossil fuels and bolsters the country's clean energy economy. In its present oil deal with ExxonMobil, Guyana merely receives profit after 75% is withdrawn to cover operational expenses. But one Guyanese professor believes that Guyana could gain more by amending the cost recovery ceiling from 75% to 50%. Dr. Taran Kemraj, who holds a PhD in economics, pointed out that revenue must be split between ExxonMobil and Guyana, leaving the country with a smaller portion. He said that because Guyana has already proven its wealth and is no longer new to oil finds, the country should be able to extract better terms. In addition, Dr. Kemraj also pointed out that outside of the contract, Guyana can rake in a lot more money if it pursues the auctioning of its oil blocks correctly. In other news, instead of the random doling out of cash transfers via one-off grants to particular groups within the country, local commentators continue to urge the government to take a structured and impactful approach to such an initiative so as to ensure Guyana benefits. The government has provided, among other things, one-off payments of $100,000 to disabled children, $150,000 to fishers, $25,000 to riverine communities, and about $1 billion in free fertilizers to be distributed to farmers. While the transfers will support these various groups, concerns remain over the fact that the distributions do not seem to be provided from an equitable standpoint. Political analyst Dr. Henry Jeffrey maintained that any distribution of cash for a purpose such as the cost of living emergency must ensure that it reaches every Guyanese, especially those who need it the most. The current mechanism is not serving that purpose, Jeffrey posited. He submitted, therefore, that instead of the random handouts, the government could distribute an equitable sum to all Guyanese. And in other news, following competitive bidding for the contract to execute remedial works on the Chetty Jagan International Airport runway embankment, a project which was estimated to cost some $11.8 million, K&F Contracting Services has been selected as the contractor to carry out the works. According to information, the company was rewarded the Ministry of Public Works contract to the tune of $12.5 million. And to wrap things up, Home Affairs Minister Robeson Ben on Friday announced that he plans to ban all foreign artists like Skeng, who promote gun violence in their music, from performing publicly in Guyana. Ben made this intention clear while making a speech at the official launching of the Community Relations Department of the Guyana Police Force held at its Ivleary headquarters in Georgetown. Skeng, whose real name is Kevon Douglas, is a Jamaican dancehall artist who performed last month on stage at the National Park during the Guyana Independence Week Carnival celebration. He performed at a show called Baderation, hosted by HJ, and it reportedly ended abruptly after patrons began pulling out handguns and shooting into the air. When the show ended, videos surfaced on social media of multiple persons being robbed during the show. And just before we wrap things up, let's head over to the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News, dedicated to, of course, being blunt. President Irfan Ali is yet again on the world stage, attending a major summit, the Summit of the Americas. The occasion affords him the opportunity to interact with world leaders and learn from them how they have been successful in managing their countries. We often wonder whether our leaders usually take away anything from these meetings, or their focus is mainly on the publicity it provides them. Only on Sunday, President Ali was at pains to lament how unfair the developed countries are in demanding that Guyana and other developing nations move swiftly towards renewable energy. However, as was pointed out by one of our letter writers, the oil companies here are repatriating about 85% of the value of the oil by buying equipment manufactured in the developed countries, thus developing those economies more, providing expensive technical expertise, remunerated at their rates, only paying taxes to us if they choose to be more than 180 days in our inefficient jurisdiction, and they are 12.5% of the unaudited profits so far. Additionally, some developed countries have now slapped a windfall tax on their oil companies, with the USA budgeting to ensure that their multinational corporations pay an effective tax rate of at least 15%. If there is anything to be gleaned by our leaders on the world stage, it would be to pick the brains of the presidents of the developed countries and perhaps ask them how they got so much from the oil companies for their people, while we in Guyana get next to nothing. It is our hope that President Ali would not miss the opportunity to pick the brains of President Biden and even his CARICOM colleague, Dr. Keith Rowley, while he at it again at the world stage. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today. Are you a Kaieteur newspaper advertiser? Well then, we have great news for you. Kaieteur Radio presents a 50% discount on all radio advertisements only for a limited time. To advertise, contact us on 225-8465 or 226-7455 or email us at kaieteurradioads@gmail.com. You can even visit our office at 24 Saffron Street, Charlestown, Georgetown. Kaieteur Radio, covering you from coast to coast.
Hey, this is your boy Terry Gadraj, the Guyana Babu, and you are tuned in to Kaieteur Radio, 99.5 FM in Berbice and 99.1 FM in Demerara and Essequibo.
Tonight is your night. as you want, baby. Do as you like. Why now you please, babe? Do as you want with me tonight. Have your way with me all night. Carry on, baby. Carry on, baby. Carry on, carry on, carry on. Wind it up, wind it up, wind it up. And when I shake it up, I shake it up, I shake it up. Oh, you like that, yeah. And when you bend it up, you bend it up, you bend it up, you bend it up, I like that, yeah. And when you give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, baby, I like that, yeah. And when you give me all of that, and you put it on this spot, I like that. You have me singing 911, emergency. 911, emergency. I don't think I could have no other baby. I don't think you could manage all that baby. Sweet and nice, nothing else so sweet, boy. Trees and ages, just keeping it real, boy. Take control of this tonight. Handle all you need just right. Carry on, baby. Carry on, baby.
Say got the bum bum, sugar and bling, slim bum bum, sweet something. Tell me something. Tell me, how you gonna wine like that? Tell me, how you gonna rubber like that, baby? Look like you want me to get a heart attack. Give me your wine in the way set, dancing on one top. Then you bend up your back, and you start push back. You give me good back. I wanna give you right back. Girl, you bend up your back, and you start push back. You give me good back. I wanna give you right back. Just start push back, right back till you feel it. I want you to feel it, feel it, feel it. Can you feel it? This body is yours anytime that you want it, girl. Can you feel it? It's like angle me, bang. Whatever da bang. Angle me, bang. Have a little money in the pocket 'cause I just got paid. I could do it a little more, but I'm still irate. So now I'm stepping out to a party. Trouble when I link up with my friends and family. Man, anyway we do it, mash it up. We rip it up, we mash it up. Girl, them a fi bubble and them a fi back it up. Everybody see me and they say we act it up. We just let them mash it up. We rip it up, we mash it up. Girl, them a fi bubble and them a fi back it up. Everybody see me and they say we act it up.
All my girl just work. Girl launch the attack, girl work. Never see you bend out your back, girl work. Girl fling it on the left, girl work. Fling it on the right, girl work. Take your time, put your hands on your knees, girl work. Do what you please, girl work. Take your time when you walk, girl work. Put your pride on this road, girl work. Big long chain and big slave and she has a summer. Big long chain.
But y'all don't whine anymore. Y'all just bounce and break out on the floor. Check out the y'all drop. Then the bass fling down on the road. Yes, y'all don't whine anymore. Y'all just bounce and break out on the floor. Check out the y'all drop. Then the bass fling down on the road. Yeah. But
Girl, summer girl, show me your wine. Come let my body and your body combine. Take your bad mind, X off your mind. Give me some of yours, I'ma give you some of mine. Come girl, get living now. Come girl, get freaky now. Push back from the kicking now. Hey.
Splash! Body wet up. Well, girl, body man, them prefer. Drip drop on a wine and bubble. Body wet right prefer. Splash! Body wet up. Well, girl, body man, them prefer. Drip drop on a wine and bubble. Body wet right prefer.
Do you call that sauce? Right now I take my body boss. Cause them body single. Them man want to mingle.
Where you want? Use this. Want to taste some sweet juice. Hey, I'm gonna give you the wine, but you have to work for this ride.
Bamboo fire, mix so. Bamboo fire, mix so. Bamboo fire, mix so. Bamboo fire, mix so. You got a bubble and a bubble tip. You got a double and a double and a double it up. You got a bubble and a bubble and a bubble tip. You got a double and a double and a double it up. She need more wood for the good what she desire. Any bet she want, I'm a buyer. And she give a reply. I will wind up.
Tell them wicked people, fire go Bundy. Oh Lord, I said this is the year for love. Fire go Bundy. Oh, silly boy, you ain't bad at all. Another one just gone. By your feet, you just a smile. Say you's a madman.
I know, sugar. Careful what you're doing. Careful how you're living, baby. This is not a movie. Live your life, but you could take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, girl. You will get excited, I know, girl. It's gonna be hard to fight it, baby. They'll try to pull you down, but I know you are strong. Yeah. You're a beautiful lady. You're a queen every day. Yeah. Don't get caught in the matrix. Don't go looking for ratings. No. I want to give it to you. 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 I want to give it to you, baby. I want to give it to you, honey. I want to give it to you, big girl. I want to give it to you. Every when you walk up on the king, girl, who's got to get wild on the thing, girl. Face down on the thing, girl. I must have take up no on the thing, girl. Every when you walk up on the king, girl, who's got to get wild on the king, girl. Face down on the thing, girl. I must have take up no on the thing, girl. You ever get caught up in a bar yet? Or chuck down on top of a jar yet? You ever skate in a bicycle bar yet? But never you face for the tar yet? Take on the ace like a ashtray.
This one is for all the woman them. We like big man. This one is for all the woman them. We like big man.
This one is for all the woman them. All the woman them.
This one is for all the woman them. Them we like big man. Oh Lord, if I tap a lashina too, half for me and half for you. Young man, when you not do what you fi do, she a go give me the soup on you. White rice, no callaloo. She finds she's a big uncle. Bill see them.
This one is for all the woman them who like little boys. This one is for all the woman them who like little boys. This one is for all the woman them, all the woman them, all the woman them who like little boys. Little boy, you never study not a thing. Big woman turn up her hearing. She know fi wash and cook everything. The yam, the pumpkin, the saltfish, the dumpling, the bora, the chow mein. Nice power soap and thing. Don't forget experience riding.
You boxing up, calling, one, two, just nearly falling. Boss start quick, so she mother calling. Never was a better buddy girl to tell me all in. Jesus Christ, cause you know the thing nice. Chushy in a box, short waist and a great face. Cause you swag up all night and I like that. Boxy look right when I was like that. You boxy just calling, one, two, just nearly falling. Boss start quick, so she mother calling. Never was a better buddy girl to tell me all in. Boxy went. I want your big toe by my ear ring.
Wheels on the bus go round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round. All the town.
like you come from the war for foreign. I got my 20 grand inside my pocket.
Everybody. Hey, get it like one man. You ever rock with a tongue man? Watch it, killer. Hey, get it like one man. You ever rock with a tongue man? Watch it, killer. Watch it, killer. Hey, girl, she said broke man. It's them she don't deal with. Only money man can make your body get what I got man. Said you give it the big chain. All your weave and it's looks like rain. I don't take shots from where you lie down. Take shots from where you lie down. Take shots from where you lie down. Take shots. Oh, what is that, babe? Killer, watch it, killer, watch it.
I could bring my friends and you could bring your friends and we friends will all line together. Just decide who hosts will aim in. This is right here in the back. Yeah, jam. We go tickle licky. It's right vibes and we do till I am right here in the back. Yeah, jam. Hey, go straight in the kitchen. Grab my butt and then start fitting. You hear me? Ping, pating, ping, pating. This ain't no carnival. Ping, pating. I go bring my friends and we bring your friends and we friends will all line together. Just decide who hosts will aim in. This is right here in the back.
One champion.
A session, couple and spoon in the hand, playing my favorite jam. Knock a ting, party. Muhammad Rafi, yes, sing a tune from he. Only to 1960 and this is the tune I sing.
दीवाना हुआ बादल सावन की गता जाई ये देख के दिल झूमा मैं प्यार में अंधेरा दीवाना हुआ बादल.
Hear the story. We lining in the yard, and nice and getting on back. You got where we come from, I should have that. Knock a ting, all you jump so down. Addicted to the party, now hope it's never done. Addicted to the whining, all man gone a woman. Addicted to the jumping, flag in me hand and waving. I'm a soca junkie, yeah. We have a soca music playing, flag swaying, drink sharing. We partying for today, good vibes flowing, enough love showing, the ladies glowing. And no Monday, Carnival Monday, on Eastern Parkway, we day. Addicted to the party, now hope it never done. Addicted to the whining, all woman Panama. Addicted to the jumping, flag in the hand and waving. I'm a soca junkie, yeah. Addicted to the lining until I see the sun. Addicted to the grinding, all woman find a man. No need for no attorney, your honor I am guilty. I'm a soca junkie, yeah.
Girl, I always had you on my mind. I have been watching you for some time. You know you set my eyes on fire. Girl, you are my heart's desire.
DJ, let me see you work. Let me see you. DJ, let me see you work. Let me see you. DJ, let me see you work. Show me. DJ, let me see you work. Make the music chuck up the world. Make the music chuck up the world. Make the music chuck up the world. Chuck up the world.
What's the next one I make them reach them when I just
Chuck up the world. Make the music chuck up the world. Make the music chuck up the world. Chuck up the world.
What's the next one I make them reach?
Is there a DJ? The host.
We round the Bible, we gonna, and all the people in the corner. I want to know what is going on. With the DJ to get his attention, it's party time. I want to wait in the baby, asking you kind.
Meet Terrence and Shabana. Both believe they've been exposed to COVID-19 and were advised by the Ministry of Health to quarantine themselves at home. It's a normal working day and Terrence grows tired of home quarantine guidelines. So he heads off to work using public transportation. Now all the passengers and his co-workers are in danger of contracting COVID-19 from Terrence. After work, Terrence heads straight to the gym for daily exercise. He shares the same exercise equipment with many others that day. Later on that evening too, Terrence heads off to play several rounds of dominoes with some friends. By breaking the quarantine rules, Terrence has endangered the lives of the passengers, his co-workers, members of his gym, and his friends with whom he played dominoes. By contrast, Shabana practices social distancing. She works from home every day and in the evenings, she video chats with her family and friends to stay connected. Shabana is also obeying all the guidelines that the Ministry of Public Health says we follow when quarantined at home. Shabana has infected no one. Let's all do our part and practice physical and social distancing by avoiding unnecessary travels and staying home from large groups of people, including our families and friends. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO. For more information, visit our website at www.health.gov.gy or visit our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Music, come on, Mr. DJ, run SOCA in the party, yes, Mr. DJ, keep we body moving, come on, Mr. DJ, just keep we moving to the rhythm, everybody, I just open party time and the place now jumping, Baba can just start some winding, now go home till the break of morning, only girls now want to take a toast, some of the song every ways and just about, hold on tight, make the moon right, we're jumping all night, now this is a party, I went to a soca party, a real crazy 15 GT. I saw so much sexy ladies, but one of them hypnotized me. When she wine and bend over, the way she wine give me fever. She pressed me up in a corner. I had to grab tight on she bumper, and I started tick tock, tick tock, tick tock on she bumper, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and the pasta tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, left, right, and center, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. I'm taking it slow, don't mind slow, babe, I'm going slow. I love how she moving. I'm taking it slow, don't mind slow, babe, I'm going slow.
My Caribbean girls, God, my Trinity girls, Asian girls, woman, to rap over time, and there's no girls to run. Oh Lord, it's your festival time, and no girls whining down. Oh, take a look by power by four, so much Asian girls alone. Take another look down my page, Asian girls up on the rampage. Now take up radical, Asian girls in the beer bacchanal. Take relief, short lifters go away. Oh, don't want to see your face today, Lord. Oh, I need a woman by my side. On the road, one who can make me realize. On the road, that I should never lose my pride. On the road, them girls are pretty, but keep me satisfied. Hey, somebody call me supervisor. Tell him I can't make it. And come with me, baby mama. Sick, cause she feeling sick. There's a fever in the air. I don't know what that shit. It's blowing everywhere, Lord. Boy, I'm addicted. And the carnival, carnival is so much. The girl is unbelievable. When you see the kind of people and the music, boom. Girl, I make it hits up, turn and twist up. When the man just a grip up, say the ragga calypso, the music. Is this a carnival or this a bacchanal? It can't be no carnival.
me a stiff grind. Creep over the shoulder, look back behind. Victoria's Secret, the Calvin Klein. Girl after they take on the real G-side. Them a go on the edge and yeah.
Danse with me, baby. Fini danse avec moi. Comme t'es calé, danse. Danse with me, darling. Fini danse avec moi. Comme t'es calé, danse. All I want is sweetness, baby. Why don't you come sweet me, honey? Fire in your waist, baby. Why don't you come burn me, honey? Voulez-vous danser avec moi? Voulez-vous danser avec moi? Hey, I don't want no one woman. All I want is plenty woman. Give me plenty woman. Yeah. I don't want no one woman. All I want is plenty woman. Give me plenty woman. You know why them girl, them the son. Them man, them the son. I don't want 1 girl, 2 girl, 3 girl, 4, 5 girl, 6 girl, give me more. 5, 10 and 20 more. I just want them more. I don't want no one woman. All I want is plenty woman.
What you looking at, can you handle it? What you looking at, can you handle it? Ay, say I the boom boom boom. So me taking on the engine. Give me the boom boom boom. Give me the thing that got me bad. Ooh, give me the boom boom boom. So me taking on the engine. Give me the boom boom boom. Give me the thing that got me bad. Ooh, me the like a steak pan. Bang it like a item. Fix the thing for my darling. Wind it up now, can you handle it? Wind it up now, how you working it? Wind it up now, all up in my business, doing my business like you the business. Say I the boom boom boom, so we taking on the engine. Give me the boom boom boom, give me the thing that I'm
give me something I need, you give me something I bleed, you give me something I crave. Oh, I really need you too. I really wanna feel great now, so let me have my way now. No one ever gonna leave, cause I'm so invested in you. Cause I really feel a vibe every time you set the right down. And nobody like this man, it's